Toronto Blue Jays have traded Otto Lopez away to the San Francisco Giants. He never really got a chance at the big league level, but he did show some potential with the bat. However, just too many options at second base and at shortstop and at third base for the Blue Jays. So it's time to move on from Lopez, and he's got a new start in San Francisco. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Dodgers. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. Now, Otto Lopez was a guy that never really got a chance, and he was kind of blocked by a lot of other options in the past couple of years. He showed a lot of potential as a contact hitter and just as a utility player when he first came up, and he was solid. He did a good job for the Blue Jays in that role, but never really got the kind of playing time that you would have liked to have seen, and it was kind of surprising when he didn't make the team out of spring training last year, and that position was given to Nathan Lucas. So we were wondering, where does this leave Otto Lopez going forward? And I guess the answer was it doesn't leave him with much because there's just no room for him on this team. And a player like him, the way that he performed last year, which was not very great, was pretty redundant for the Blue Jays, and they DFA'd him, and they managed to make a trade. They got something back for him, but Nick, sad to see him go.
Yeah, you weren't there for the video a few days ago when he got DFA'd, so I'm interested to see what you think about it. Before we get into it, quick reminder, hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 12,000 subscribers. So yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into the first topic, as well as Jorge Soler, of course. He officially signed today, so we'll briefly touch on that. But let's focus on it. The Jays make a trade now. For all you out there hoping that we got something good out of it, we didn't, and I'll show you a funny picture here in a minute, but let's start with the actual facts here. So Blue Jays traded Otto Lopez to the Giants for cash, the team announces, and Keegan Matheson basically goes on to say that, of course, they traded Otto Lopez. He was the number 14th prospect a year ago, and he still likes him to be a valuable player on the end of an MLB bench, but Toronto's infield depth is crowded, and still is. There was no room for Otto Lopez. You brought up a very good point there in the intro about this time last year we were debating, or a bit later, about a month from now, last year we were talking about whether Otto Lopez, and we both thought and made predictions that he would make the team out of spring training. It ultimately went to Nathan Lucas, which is a fine outcome here. But Peter, cash considerations, our favorite type of player, our favorite trade, cash considerations was who he was traded for, so nothing too special, but it's better than not getting anything out of him, I guess.
I guess, but that picture never fails to disappoint when we're talking about a trade, when you get cash considerations back in return. So, look, let's hope Otto Lopez finds his groove in San Francisco, and I'm sure he'll get a chance to play there. We were talking about Espinal maybe going there and getting a chance to be an everyday guy. I don't know if Otto Lopez is going to be an everyday player in San Francisco, but he's going to get some playing time. And that big ballpark with that triples alley, it plays to his strength. And we saw how well he did for Canada in a featured role at the World Baseball Classic against other major league talent. He's a good, solid player. He didn't have the season that he would have wanted last year, and I'm sure he would have liked a better chance to crack the Blue Jays big league roster, but it ultimately didn't happen, and it always sucks to see a local guy leave, a Canadian guy leave, but I truly believe this is for the best for him and for the Blue Jays as well. They recoup something of value in return for someone who just wasn't going to make an impact this year, and Otto Lopez gets a chance to live out his dream, and I think he's going to do very well in San Francisco.
Yeah, and I touched on it. He's a pure contact hitter, and we can look at his stats here. And again, I broke it down in my video, but Peter, he doesn't have really any power to speak of. He's okay with the glove, can play multiple positions, but the big thing that led to his downfall was last season in AAA. He had a 656 OPS. He had a very poor season in AAA. Obviously, the Dominican Winter League, he played very well. He put up an 834 OPS, but the biggest thing here was that coming off of a great 2022 and a bit of a good 2021, he failed to do what he had to do to break the team. He wasn't playing well in AAA, injured. I believe he got injured as well, which kind of hindered his ability to, and that hurts minor leaguers a ton. We've seen that in the past with tons of players. So the writing was on the wall for him just because of how many players we have on our team that can play the position that he can play and can kind of fill a similar role to him, who is decent defensively and provides a lot of contact there.
Yeah, it's just not what the Blue Jays need, and especially for a fringe prospect like him. Let's say he was the 14th ranked prospect for the Blue Jays. Definitely not a blue chip guy. Doesn't have any tools that really stand out at you. You got to stay healthy, and you got to keep up that level of consistency for a long time to get your chance at the big league level. And he's 24, 25 years old going into next season, so he's not a young prospect either. A lot of things have to line up for him to really get his shot in the big leagues, and it ultimately didn't happen. And here we are. I mean, he had his chance. He had his chance to make the big league roster. He wasn't what they needed at the time. Nathan Lucas was more desirable for what the Blue Jays were needing heading into the season. Then the year after that, there were just too many options, and he wasn't playing well enough. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And hopefully we see more from him in the NL, where he won't hurt us too badly. But let us know what your thoughts are on this trade. Nothing crazy, but it literally came out an hour ago, so we figure we'd cover it. Now, Peter, something else here is Soler's officially signed not to the Toronto Blue Jays, but to the San Francisco Giants. The Giants just totally involved today with the Blue Jays rumor or trade mill here. News mill, I guess I should say. But the Giants bringing Jorge Soler for the middle of their lineup, 3 years, $42 million. Peter, this is about exactly the price that we predicted. I think we said 3 years, 40 to 45 million, some of us. And I mean, Soler is an absolute animal. He's a very good hitter. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you wish the Jays would have chosen this over Turner? I've had some time to think about it, and I do have an opinion on it. But I'll let you take the floor first here for Jorge Soler, a guy who hit 36 home runs last season.
I'm still happy that they went after Justin Turner. 3 years, 45 million, 42 million, sorry, is a lot for a guy that has struggled. And look, don't get me wrong, he still would have been an upgrade over Brandon Belt, in my opinion. But there's been too many inconsistencies over the past few years with Jorge Soler, and you just don't see that same kind of drop off with Justin Turner. And at a 1 year deal, I know he's 39 years old, but I think there's a lot less risk factor in bringing in Justin Turner. I would have liked them both, if I'm being honest with you. And it was coming to the point where I didn't really care about the 3rd year for Jorge Soler because it's exactly what the Blue Jays needed. They needed a big bopper in the middle of the lineup. Justin Turner, he's not really an all-out power hitter. He's a very good hitter, and he's going to help out this Blue Jays lineup. But we were talking about thump, and we were talking about someone that's going to slug 35 to 40 home runs. That's most likely going to be Soler. The Blue Jays felt otherwise. So I'm still good with the Justin Turner acquisition. I still think that was the right move to make. Soler is probably the flashier one,
Definitely.
but when you're looking at just performance and someone that you could rely upon from game 1 to 162, Justin Turner is that guy.
Yeah, you know what you're going to get with Justin Turner more. You also, you mentioned most of it. You get him on a 1 year deal. I think the biggest thing is the Jays didn't want to give Jorge Soler a term. I think they want to keep some more financial flexibility open for next season's free agencies, the season after. And I mean, you look 2022, just the season before last, he put up a 695 OPS. Now, is that an outlier? Maybe. It could be. The year before, he put up a 749 OPS, which is solid. So you really don't know what you're going to get from him. If you're betting on the fact that you're going to get a lot of power, hopefully the Giants get that. But for the Jays, I mean, and again, we mentioned it before, the intangibles. Justin Turner is a veteran. He's a leader. Everyone wants to have him on the team. Everyone's excited to have him in the clubhouse. Not saying they wouldn't be excited to have Soler, but Turner he won a championship with the Dodgers in the COVID-shortened season in 2020. So I think overall it works out for both sides, and I think they want to keep a lot of their term open, maybe even for next offseason if they make a big move. Or another move that happens maybe they want to go, and if they sign a Cody Bellinger type, probably won't happen, but we'll be looking at this a lot differently. So any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Might be a hot take, Nick, but the more I think about it and the more we talk about it, the Blue Jays offense have potential to be better than it was last year, and they don't even have to make another move. And I'll explain why here. Look, Justin Turner, I think he's better than Brandon Belt, and he fits the mold of what the Blue Jays need better than what Brandon Belt offered last year. Belt was great. He showed power, 19 home runs, an 850-ish OPS, but way too many strikeouts, and that translated to the rest of the team. And Justin Turner is a different type of hitter, more contact-based hitter, a guy who can do it all. I'm going to take Justin Turner in that. And you're probably getting rid of Matt Chapman. You're probably not going to have Matt Chapman this year. Kevin Biggio figures to be your everyday third baseman, maybe Isaiah Kiner for left, but I'll give the nod to Biggio right now to be the everyday third baseman. His production in the second half, if he can keep that up, way more productive than Matt Chapman over the course of 162. That remains to be seen, but I think Biggio's going to have a breakout year. And then at second base, Davis Schneider, I think that production is going to be better than Whit Merrifield. And going to be better than Espinal and give him everyday at bats, let his power shine, and let his plate discipline shine, I think this offense is going to be a lot better than some people think, and Justin Turner is going to be at the center of that. And you also add in the bounce backs from the other guys that didn't perform well last year, and Vladdy, Varsho, George Springer. I really think they have a chance to be good.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to obviously the bounce back's the biggest thing. But again, Turner's a very good signing. A lot of Jays fans weren't excited, not flashy, but who knows what they'll do to wrap up the thing as well. And obviously, we didn't have a very good offensive season at all last year, so I think the ceiling is way higher than it was in what the Jays saw last year. But that'll wrap it up. Let us know in the comments what your thoughts are on the minor trade for cash considerations as well as Jorge Soler being signed. If you want to check out a video from yesterday, click right now. We'll see you tomorrow.